new hot and techy Brezza, the city-bred SUV.
Gujarat Titans had taken no time to build a reputation of being the heist makers in the IPL. You remember so many from 2022? Well, that Titans vintage is back. They needed 86 of the last 6. They needed 59 of the last 4. And somehow Shah Rukh Khan, Rahul Tewatia, Rashid Khan have combined to get Gujarat over the line and hand Rajasthan Royals their first defeat of IPL 2024. Welcome to Maruti Suzuki Arena, presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. A lot to unpack in the company of Tom Moody, Mitch McClenaghan and Deep Dasgupta. Gentlemen, let's get thoughts on that finish. How good was that?
Awesome, isn't it? Brilliant. 86 of last 6, obviously at Savai Mansingh, where it's supposed to be their fortress. But yeah, I mean, few overs there. But obviously you can't take anything away from Rashid. Even, cameos from Shah Rukh Khan, and obviously Tewatia, 22 of 11 was brilliant.
Just on those 3 you mentioned, 60 runs between them, 30 balls faced.
Yeah.
So strike rate of 200. So it just shows you, if you've got those type of players that have got the capability to impact straight away at the end of an innings, which is not easy to do, you end up, with crazy results. And that we wouldn't have thought that 5 overs ago.
True.
Yeah, we spent most of the first 15, 16 overs thinking how good the Rajasthan bowling plans had been, how well they had done, where Gujarat were falling short, and all of it comes undone in those last 3-4 overs, Mitch.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? They managed the other batsmen at the other end to Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill played superbly as well tonight, but yeah, it was a fascinating one, wasn't it? And it got to the point where we were wondering where Trent Boult is, and we still don't know. You'd expect Trent Boult as an international bowler to come back and maybe bowl one of those crucial overs that Ashwin bowled. I think he bowled a couple of overs.
15th and the 17th.
Yeah, 15th and 17th in a row, where you'd expect Trent Boult to bowl, and they went for 13 and 13 and 17.
13 and 17, yeah.
So they were quite significant in terms of the game getting to the point that it got to. But geez, what a chase! What a chase! And you can never count out Rashid Khan if he hits one of his first couple of balls to the boundary. It's all on, isn't it?
Yeah, we keep wondering so often that Rashid, why isn't he used more with the bat? Why does he always tend to come out so late? He's got not just a good strike rate, the conventional strike rate, but a good hit rate of just pulling these things off.
Yeah, I think he's playing the right position. I know there's always been that noise around, why didn't he come in earlier and all that type of, chitter-chatter around his role. I think his role is best suited for those little 10-ball cameos, which tends to come at that position at 8. He's so difficult to bowl to because he's unpredictable with where he hits the ball. So he's very hard to set your fields to because he is unconventional. He's got incredibly fast hands, but where it goes, I don't reckon he even knows half the time. But wherever it goes quickly. But again, as he's done before, more so with the ball, but he's done it with the bat as well. He's pulled off a real heist here.
Ball and bat today, because he was clinical, wasn't he?
Yeah, and we must go back to that first innings, because now you look at that Gujarat bowling card, everyone else has gone for, 170, 180 in those 16, and he bowls 4 overs for 18 runs, possibly one of the better all-round efforts you'll see.
Yeah, it was high quality, wasn't it? And in a high-scoring match, if you can have one of your bowlers have an impact like that, just like with the bat we've talked about, guys striking over 200, if you can go 4.5s, that's astonishing. That really is. It looked like a very good track. There wasn't a lot of turn, and the way he managed his length and his line today was superb, and kind of got them a lot of momentum in that middle order of that innings, and kind of kept it to a score that it was around par, maybe just under, after seeing the way that finished.
We're going to invite you to throw in your questions as well. I'm sure there's a lot that you want to ask given the nature of this finish. So throw them at us in the comment section and we'll direct it towards Tom, Mitch and Deep over the course of this show. While there's more to dissect on the Gujarat batting, but Tom, take us through that Rajasthan's handling of their bowlers through that finish. Why did they choose to give as many overs to Ashwin towards the back end when you could see there were as many overs left of the pacers?
It's a really good question because, with Trent Boult there, I think he bowled 2 overs for 6 or 8 up front, which he tends to, always be very good with a new ball, but he's certainly been used at the death plenty of times before, and he's got a huge amount of experience. So when it comes to pressure, he's used to absorbing that pressure and taking on those challenges. So I was really surprised that he wasn't, spent today. He's walked off that park with 2 overs left in the bank, which does not make sense whatsoever. And it's nothing against Ashwin. He's a very fine bowler, but both Ashwin and Chahal today went for 83 runs for their 8 overs combined. Chahal picked up a couple of wickets, but that's pretty heavy going for them going at 10 and over. So to me, it was a real miss with Trent Boult, unless there's an injury or an illness that we're not aware of. But you had to use Trent Boult at the back end.
Well, even then in the middle, because he has such a significant strike rate of actually breaking open partnerships in the middle phase of the game as well. So, yeah, touch on 2 points. Yep, he could have bowled at the death as well, which is not a strong point, but yes, he's done it before. But those middle overs, he's very successful at breaking partnerships.
And even more so, Deep, considering how you've stacked those overs. You saw 3-4 overs back-to-back of spin from 13 to the 17th, and the last 3 of those have cost 44 runs.
That's what, end of the day, I can still understand Ashwin or a spinner for that matter bowling the 15th but the 17th. And especially when you have the inexperience of Kuldeep to come, and Avesh obviously has got experience, but then you don't have too many of those bowlers with experience there. When you have someone like Trent Boult, again, we are all assuming that he was fit and ready to bowl and not knowing exactly why he didn't. But if he was fit, then definitely yes. Listen, if you look at that bowling unit there, he's the most experienced fast bowler there. Irrespective whether it's strength or not, you're still going to back him to bowl at the back end. But the 15th or the 17th, it's not really the back end, isn't it? It's more like end of the middle overs kind of a thing. Yeah, come on. If he's got overs left, you've got to bowl him.
I think what might have thrown Sanju Samson is Kuldeep Sen bowling so well.
Yeah. And
he bowled well in his first 2 or maybe 3 overs, but it's nearly like pushing, it out a little bit too far and sort of thinking he can keep going and keep producing, the results that he had done in the first 2 or 3 overs. It's nearly like bank that success and move on to your players that have been playing every single game. This is his first game.
Yeah.
So, yes, he was very dynamic in his first couple of overs, but then it sort of went downhill from there.
But I think more than the Kuldeep, I can still understand and I take that point because of the first 3 overs. But that 17th from Ashwin, I guess, that's where, if Boult again, we're saying if he was fit enough and was there on the park, that 17th over, I can still take Ashwin bowling the 15th. But then that 17th over may be pushing it a little too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, worth spending a minute on Kuldeep, isn't it, Mitch? In those first 3 overs that he bowled today, 3 for 22, the wickets of Sudarshan, Wade and Manohar, and looked to have done the job. And then to have to bowl that 19th over, which in the L calculation becomes quite the turning point.
Yeah, I thought he was very good. Let's park the last over because, that can happen at the death. But I think the first couple of overs were sensational. He charged in, he made Wade in particular, his feet didn't move as much because of the pace he was bowling mid-140s. He's fortunate, obviously, to get the inside edge, but the wicket to get, was it Shankar?
Yeah.
Vijay Shankar? No.
Sai Sudarshan,
Sai Sudarshan.
Matthew Wade, Abhinav Manohar.
Yeah, and Manohar. That ball was sensational. That was, what you want from your fast bowlers when you've got a new batsman to the crease to hit the top of the stumps with pace. He was exciting. There was just probably a couple of moments there where there seemed to be some external noise from within the team. A lot of people rushing up once he bowled one bad ball and kind of trying to have some input. And sometimes as a bowler, that's the worst thing you can do. Because he's probably going, yeah, I know I bowled a bad ball. Yeah. I don't need you to tell me as well. And generally bowlers know what they've done wrong and how to rectify it. So,
well, we saw the opposite last night with Pat Cummins and Unatkat.
Yes.
Total opposite sort of approach where it was very relaxed. Pat Cummins went up to his bowler that was under enormous pressure, smile on his face, bit of a laugh. There was no other people within sight, and there was calmness.
Yeah, there was, and that's why that something's going to go wrong when you're watching the game when 4 or 5 different people come up with an opinion, and in the end, straight away after that, whether he was a bit confused, kind of like you pointed out when we were watching the game, he just looked like he lost his run up on one of those deliveries, bowled a no ball, and then bowled a few wides after that, and that was critical towards the end.
As great as the Gujarat heist is, 86 and 6 is no mean feat, but it's worth spending some time, I guess, on how the game reached that situation. As of the end of the 14th over, Tom, Shubman Gill is 52 of 37, and it's one of the questions that's coming through from our viewers as well. Kulatumani S asks, yes, GT won, but interested to hear Tom's views on this. Was the Gill template of playing himself in at that rate the right way to go?
Absolutely it was. I thought he played superbly today. If he continued on his merry way, he would have got 100 and seen the team home with the batters around him. I don't see any issues with what was his strike rate ended up?
163.
163 is an outstanding strike rate in a run chase in that situation. To me, what he did was absolutely right. If anything, what sort of put him under pressure was Sai Sudarshan at the top of the order. He got 35 off 29. So to me, he's the one that sort of was dragging the chain, so to speak, for too long. You can't face nearly 30 balls and strike at 120. Yeah. To me, he needed to pick his run rate up a lot earlier than he did before he got out.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, my take is we always tend to look at individual strike rates, but I'd rather look at the partnership strike rate, and I completely agree with you. When you look at a partnership, then you say, how's the partnership doing? Because invariably you'll have one guy who's going to be the aggressor, the other guy who would want to stay longer. I think in this case, Shubman Gill, knowing that middle order is really thin and inexperienced, he had to stay there. But what he didn't get was a support, as you mentioned, whether it was from Matthew Wade or before that Sai Sudarshan and then Abhinav and all of that. So as the captain, I believe you take it on yourself to kind of just stay there for as long as possible and take it to the end and see where it goes.
Well, it's a good point you make, because you think of the wickets that fell around Shubman Gill.
Yeah.
He lost his opening partner, Manor, Vijay Shankar, and Matthew Wade all failed.
Yeah.
So that sort of damage was happening around him as he was trying to navigate chasing down a total of 197.
Yeah, but as soon as he did get some partners, I think the Shankar...
that small little partnership.
That was 16 off 10, and then I think when Tawatia got to the wicket, it was 22 off 8.
Yep.
So when he had a man at the other end, actually showing some signs of some aggression, that partnership strike rate went up. So, I think you can isolate it and go, he probably could have gone a little bit quicker, but it's probably a reflection of the man at the other end struggling. So I don't know how you navigate that in the future if that happens again. They don't lose that wickets and get that impetus. But
the thing is that I think too often we focus on players when they get a considerable score on their strike rate. Now, Shubman Gill should not get a finger pointed at him about his strike rate. He batted very, very well today. And what we saw, though, is a template of a really good run chase and how important little impact innings are when it comes to winning games of cricket. We saw a number of little impact innings that sort of shifted the game towards GT. We weren't even thinking GT were in the contest. But because there were people that, had the character, had the skill and ability to come out there and score at nearly 2 runs a ball, it's game, set, match.
But when you look at the template of either scoring 180 plus or chasing 180 plus, it's roughly this, isn't it? One guy who bats deeper.
Well, you need the foundation.
Exactly. 70, 80 runs, 150, 160, and then you have at least 2, 3 other guys going at 200, small cameos, and that's how you get 200, 200 plus. And this is perfect, that way.
Right. Lots of questions pouring in the comments, as we come to expect with a finish like this. A lot around captaincy. This is a question around the room. Is it a good idea for captains to not have additional wicket-keeping responsibility? It seemed to have worked for Dhoni, but seems to have affected a lot of others.
Ideally, I think keepers are anyways captains on the field. You as a captain, you lead the side when you're fielding, right? And anyways, keepers are, even if they are not the captain, I believe they are. I call them fielding captains because you're always in the captain's ear about bowling changes, fielding placement, angles and stuff like that. So I don't think that should be an issue as a keeper. I think does come naturally to a lot of people and to keep especially, I think. Yeah.
Hanish Upalati asks, I don't understand why Chahal is ignored in the Indian T20 side. Is it because his secondary skills are considered as compared to Kuldeep and Bishnoi?
Yeah, oh, definitely. You're absolutely bang on. That's exactly why he's not in the conversation. You saw tonight a caught and bowled chance that Akshar Patel and Jadeja and Ravi Bishnoi would have taken, and that could have broken the game over a little bit earlier. A couple of misfields as well off his own bowling. You know, all things that we come to expect now of a spinner to be athletic, have good hands and have an impact in the other facets. That along with his batting, that definitely comes into the equation. But you cannot fault how good he is with the ball. I loved when he was under pressure against Gill, you know, having the confidence to bowl that wide, slow one almost off the wicket to break that partnership and get Gill out when he looked like he was going. So the skill of the man as a bowler is right up there. It's just the other facets.
So this was the 5th game, right? Yeah. I wonder if he's fielded all 20 overs in any of those 5 games.
They generally impact sub him off when they bowl first.
And then
by the time his
whoever comes in, does he bowl? He's there to field.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All right. Someone called Ashish Nehra, I'm only assuming this is not the actual Ashish Nehra, who was at the ground, has a lot of questions for Tom, centered around the man who's likely to be player of the match. Tom, do you think Rashid Khan is your best ever buy at an IPL auction?
Ooh.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think. I think second to him was Mustafizur Rahman, who sort of came out of, well, not nowhere, but he was pretty much unknown at the time. But to select an Afghan cricketer at that time, it's common practice now, was sort of seen as, oh wow, okay, that's that's a little bit left field, but yeah, no, it's something that I know that Sunrisers, are proud of, giving him a start at the same time with Muhammad Nabi.
Well, they were definitely associate nations at the time, weren't they? They're never really in the conversation, so it takes some confidence.
Well, it was interesting doing the scouting on Rashid, because we didn't have the volume of cricket that you'd normally expect to have the real, insight to exactly, what
was it
you buy.
a gut more than anything else? A gut feel that this guy?
I looked at a lot of vision and looked at who he was getting out and how he was getting them out and the consistency of his wicket pattern, and it just stacked up. It was screaming. It was screaming at you, regardless of whether it was a top order player from Scotland or Ireland or whoever it might be. It was a standout.
Yeah. Has been one of the greatest gifts to the IPL. So thank you to you and your team for bringing Rashid here. And let's turn our attention to our quickfire review of this thriller in Jaipur. I will start with you, Mitch. 20 seconds. Did Rajasthan get their bowling changes wrong at the death?
Well, if Trent Boult was fit and he could bowl his last 2 overs, then yes, I think that they made a mistake in their bowling options. At least they could have used one of those 4 overs or remaining 2 overs at the middle stage at least.
Question to you, Deep. Ashwin's 17th over or Kuldeep Sen's 19th over? Which was the bigger turning point?
I'd go with 17th over because kind of shift the momentum then. 17 runs from that over, and then obviously you got batters who feeling a lot more confident and stuff like that. You do expect the 19-20th to be expensive, but I think that whole momentum shift kind of happened during that.
All right. The buzzer just beat you there. We'll go to Tom next. Rate Sanju Samson's captaincy in this game.
Look, I think overall he's been pretty solid as a captain. But I sense today there's a couple of decisions that were made around some bowling changes that were questionable. I think also some of the field placements were also questionable. It's also very difficult to tell from afar, but it did look like there were some odd changes.
To you, Deep, does Sai Sudarshan need to find a higher gear?
Definitely, yes. There's no two ways about it. And especially, just some of these plays, including Sai Sudarshan, when you get a boundary of the first couple of deliveries, you've got to make sure that is a 10-plus over. You can't have a boundary or a 6 of the first 2 and then end up with 8 and 9 runs in an over. So those things you've got to keep in mind.
Earlier in the day, we saw Mohit Sharma concede 51 of his 4. Mitch, has Mohit become too predictable with his slower balls?
I think the surface potentially tonight didn't suit his skill set. We also have to say that there was some very good hitting from Sanju Samson and Rian Parag. So today it just didn't come off, but in the right conditions, it doesn't matter whether he bowls it or not, it's still effective.
And finally to you, Tom, is Butler Rashid's bunny? Why does he struggle so much against him?
Well, he has historically struggled against him, and we saw the stats around that in our pre-show. A lot of it's to do with, I don't think that Butler does read Rashid out of the hand, and you don't get the same time to read him off the surface because he's so quick off the air. That's why it's a great challenge for Josh Butler.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. That covers us for most of the analysis on the game, but it is now time to head into the impact zone. How's it turned out this time? Oh,
Oh my!
please, Tom,
It's a bit
take it away.
It's a bit messy, isn't it? Yeah, look, Rashid Khan obviously did the right thing. Who else did I have there? Shubman Gill obviously played very well, and Ram Parag also had a day out. So I got lucky with 3 good picks. Bit of a gap there.
Well, I'm just happy that I'm not negative. I've broken the curse.
Yes, it helps. You've
Broken
scored
the curse.
a
Nearly
good
got 100.
109 points.
Yeah.
Jeez, Noor. When I picked Noor, and this was his worst IPL
I know. You feel bad when you pick a player and they have a bad game, mate. You feel like you're the curse.
You know, the worst thing is you start looking at the game differently.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
But I will remind you, Deep, that you have
Yes.
made some points today because Trent Bolt, with his 2 overs, was wicketless. Your prediction was that he'll be wicketless, so you get the 5 points
We
there.
reckon Deep's called the commentary box and sent a message down.
And there are 5 outrageous points to Tom Moody as well, who said Josh Butler would be out within 12 balls, and he took only 10.
This is the last time he's allowed to say 12 balls. It's got to go back to 10.
It's back.
It's got to go. At least he becomes one of those middle range picks. Yeah, 12's just
Just got to let it go, doesn't he?
so, well, just do something. Make some other outrageous call. Be
sorry.
original.
Sorry, just have a look at the table, mate.
We will show you the season leaderboard tomorrow, and yeah, I suspect Tom has pulled a little further clear. Let's see how you guys fight back. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and company through this day. That does it from us this Wednesday evening, and Mumbai versus RCB is the game on Thursday. Our build-up will begin just before toss time. The last time these two teams met without either Rohit or Kohli being captain, you'd have to go back to 2012. So a new tale in that rivalry. Be sure to join our coverage. In the meantime, if you haven't already, go ahead and download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app to get all the thoughts from the captains, from the camps after Rajasthan Royals' first defeat and Gujarat Titans ensuring that they are 3 wins and 3 losses at the end of 6 games. That's it from us for tonight. Good night. Thank you for watching.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird